Good morning, friends. I got to find my camera. This is the first time I've gone live on my new laptop, so I have to kind of orient myself. If you're in the chat, let me know if you can hear me okay, if you can see everything okay, because as I said, this is a whole new laptop experience for me. Different laptop, different settings, and I just want to make sure that coming live to you after all this time, you can hear me and unfortunately maybe see me. Good morning, my dear friend. How are you? It's been a while. I've been so exhausted lately. I haven't done anything lately, but forced myself to get dressed this morning, throw on a little makeup, did my hair, and I thought we would do our advent calendar and a few fun things today. I'm sorry you can see my face fine. You're sitting in my lap. Hey, Mama needs some Georges, some Benjamins. You can sit in my lap anytime you want. Okay. Actually, if you were sitting in my lap, I'd be giving you the Benjamins. Rochelle, you're so smart. So smart. All right. So after a long hiatus of not coming to you guys live for a while, I've just been so exhausted since our trip. In the middle of summer, both Jim and I came down with the cinnamon vanilla. And I don't know, I've been kind of tired, but I was really ramped up for the trip. And we did so much on the trip that I just exhausted myself. Good morning, Angie, my BFF. I'm glad you made it. I miss your face. Good morning, Danielle. Welcome. Ladies, we were talking before about getting together for kind of like a Victorian tea. And I've been collecting little teacups so that we can do a Victorian tea. But today is something entirely different. I'm happy to see you too, Danielle. Thank you. I know I've just been so tired, like I was telling everybody. I want to dedicate this entire series over the next 24 days to Marlene over at Snow Gardener 307. And it's a mail call from her as well, because I received this in the mail the other day, and I'm going to read it here in just a second. But because of Marlene, I was watching her videos last year, and she had an advent calendar for tea. And I thought, oh my gosh, I love it. I want to do that so bad. And I kept kind of dropping little hints to Papa Jim that I want to do this calendar thing. And lo and behold, the other day, a box showed up and he said, go ahead and open it. Do you know what it is? And I was completely clueless because I'd given up on even getting it. And because we've put all of our money towards that trip, right? You have a fancy tea set. Oh my goodness. I love the little teacups, the little China teacups. Anyways, so I opened up the box and there it was. It was my tea advent calendar. Now, first of all, I've got to show you this tea calendar, because let me show you what came before the tea calendar. Oh, look at Rochelle saying good morning to you, Angie. Angie, everybody who's in the chat so far, and I don't expect there to be many because it's been so long since I've gone live and it's not on my usual day and time. Angie is my BFF from California, who I used to work with. We both worked in the special education department. We called ourselves the SPED Migas, because we were amigas in the SPED department. There were three of us. We were like the three amigos, but we were the three SPED Migas. And I miss her terribly. We've both moved out of California. We're both living much better lives. And I miss her terribly. So I'm so glad she was able to come in today. So I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read the chat. It's usually they're just for my hair, to hold my hair back. My mom got a gorgeous set at an estate sale years ago and gave it to me. Oh, that is so wonderful, Rochelle. I love that. I wish I had something like that from my mom. The only thing I have, and you can't see it, is I have from my dad, my biological father, I have an old coffee grinder, but I don't have anything like that. Oh, I take that back. Do you know what I do have? But it's so packed away, I don't know if I could get to it for any of our teas coming up. I do have my grandmother's china set that her brother, I'm not sure the family lineup on it, but he brought it back from occupied Japan during World War II. And I have that entire set, and it does have little cups and saucers. So I really do like real gold on it, but it has to be hand washed. Yes, so is mine. I can't throw it. I wouldn't throw it in the dishwasher. I'd only hand wash it. Oh yeah, it might have lead. Good point. But let me show you what came first, because I was so happy to get this first, and I really wanted to use it, and I've tried it, and it didn't do what I wanted it to do, but it's still adorable, and I might find a way to use it. But look at this little guy. Look at how adorable this little bunny rabbit is. Can you see him? Do you know what he is? He's a tea infuser. You put your tea leaves in here, and then you hang him on the edge of your cup by his little ears, and then it infuses the tea in there. Isn't that adorable? And I was so looking forward to joining you guys every morning for our tea thing and using this. And I was going to get a manatee and some other things. But you know what? I did a test run on this, and it just didn't seem to really infuse the leaves because they didn't have the ability to flow. So, oh, good morning, Blue. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Nicole. Nicole, thank you for saying you love tea, because you know what? I'm going to make a confession to you guys right now. I'm a coffee drinker. And I have learned through this entire process that I have been doing tea all wrong all this time. And I think it's why I haven't become a true lover of tea, because I've been doing it wrong. So give me a show of hands. Oh yeah, the manatee one. The manatee. You have the manatee one, Blue? Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I love them. But like I said, I did a tea with my little bunny rabbit, and it just didn't seem, I did a true spoonful of leaves. It just didn't seem like it did anything. But anyways, I digress. So raise your hand or comment in the comments if this is you. Growing up, I was never taught properly how to make tea. Now, Blue is over in the UK. She knows how to make a proper cup of tea, I assure you. So don't come down too hard on me. Don't come down too hard on me, Blue. I grew up, you take a cup of water and you throw it in the microwave and you heat it to oblivion. Then you take a tea bag and you dunk it in there several times, and then you take it out with a spoon and you wrap the string around it, squeeze the life out of the tea bag so you get all the tea into your cup, and then you drink it. It was always kind of bitter. And you make it the way you make it. I was making it wrong. You were never a tea drinker, but you had a couple of chamomile tea bags in a pitcher of hot water and then started sipping on it. That is wonderful. I used to make chamomile tea for my baby when he was an infant, because he would have upset tummy. And my mother-in-law said, you put a little chamomile tea, put a little sugar in their water, and it calmed his tummy right down. Anyways, I was making tea all wrong. So I'm so happy to go through this process and learn about the proper way to make tea. So first of all, again, thank you to Marlene. She sent me a little card the other day, and she said, hello, Alicia. I'm going to read it. Espresso latte in the morning and a variety of teas the rest of the day. Loose leaf. Yes. No more tea bags for me. I'm only going to do loose leaf. And I've got, in addition to my my little tea thing I'm going to show you, I've got all kinds of teas around the counter that I've been picking up. My mom is from England, been drinking tea since you were 5 years old. And you could still be doing it. Yeah, never squeeze the tea bag. I've learned so much. So she says, hello, Alicia. Just a quick note to tell you that you are amazing. I love her. I just love watching your videos and smile when I see you and Papa Jim. Keep up the wonderful and inspirational works. Hug, Marlene, aka Snow Gardener 307. If you get the chance, go on over to her channel. She has two of them. One of them is the Snow Gardener 307, and it's budgets, and then Snow Gardener 307, everything but the budgets. If you love to watch people count money, I could watch her all day count. She has the most unique way of budgeting things, and I just love watching her count money. But she did this tea thing last week. So she says, thank you for being you. Keep on smiling. Oh, Marlene, thank you. And look what she sent me. She sent me a little piggy sticker. Isn't he cute? She's so sweet. Yes, thank you, Rochelle, for reminding everybody. Hit the thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so she sent that to me. And like I said, I'm giving her full credit for this series that we're going to be doing. Here's the thing about this series that I'm worried about, guys. I had to get up this morning, take care of my chores, do my hair, throw on a little makeup for you, and actually get dressed. I cannot guarantee that's going to happen every day. There may be times that you find me in my colonial nightcap that Papa Jim got for me from our trip to go to Little House on the Prairie. I just might be in my nightgown. I might be a complete wreck, but you know what? If we're friends, it shouldn't matter, right? Friends shouldn't care what you look like in the morning. So, okay, let me show you this tea set. It is so adorable. Not a tea set, but my advent calendar. I love this. Look at this. It is the 24 days of tea, and it comes in this cute little box. Look at that little fox. Isn't he adorable? And I mean, this is cute enough, right? This box is absolutely cute enough, but wait until I open it. Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna tilt this down just a little bit. Aren't you thankful I'm dressed? Oh my goodness. Okay, a little bit more. I'm gonna open this up and look at how absolutely adorable this is when you open it. Da, 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 da. And I know there's a glare from my kitchen window, and I'm sorry about that. But look at this little, what do you call this? What do you call this? It's, I know we used to make them in school all the time. It's a die of something. I don't know. Anyways, it's a cute little thing. All of these little boxes are numbered, and inside each box is a little sample of tea for you to try. And so today we're going to try tea number 1. I'm going to take that up in just a second. But what I really love about it is when you turn the box around, it has everything you need to know about every single tea that's in here. So you know what your ingredients are, you know everything about it. I love it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring the camera back up if I can do this without, toppling everything. Diorama. Yes, thank you. That's what it's called, guys. Thank you. You saw some at Costco and you were tempted. So I might tempt you to go do this. Okay, so I'm going to open this up, and I don't know if I can do it where you guys can see it without falling off the chair. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I have a little bit of an inner ear thing. So if you see me fall off the chair and I don't come back, call 911. Okay, because I might be down for the count. Ooh, don't dump all my boxes. Okay, so number 1 is right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this little box out. Oh, look how cute. Look at that. I'll hold it up in just a second. It says in here 24 days of tea. Let me see this. There's something about the holidays that brings out the best in everyone, including your favorite tea company. This year, we've brought together 24 of our absolute best loose leaf teas, loose leaf blends for a soul-warming countdown you can really sink into. And because sharing is caring, there's a double portion behind every door. Happy everything. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love this little box. And I didn't get things set up behind me today because we're in the kitchen. But I was thinking about putting my Christmas tree behind me because they come in these adorable little boxes. Look at that. And I think what I want to do is I think I want to take a hole punch and hole punch my little boxes and then hang them from a Christmas tree. I think that would be fun. But for now, I'm going to save the little box. What's my address? My address is if you look in my about from my page, you'll find it. It's there. Okay, so let me put my glasses on. Let's see what we have today. You guys like my glasses? Do they make me look smart? I know they make my butt look big, but do they make me look smart? That's the question of the day. This looks really pretty. Let's see what it is. This one is called Merry Mistletoe. Okay, Merry Mistletoe. Let's look at the back of our box. Oh, don't you worry about it, Danny. Okay, I have to find it on the back here and not get dizzy. Merry Mistletoe. Let's see if we can find. I didn't want to. I was going to say I should have looked this up ahead of time so I'm not wasting time, but it's all impromptu. Merry Mistletoe. Oh my gosh, the writing is so small on it. Ingredients: apple pieces, yum. Raisins, hibiscus blossoms, natural cranberry apple flavoring, cranberries. There's cranberry sugar, sunflower seed oil, cloves, apple slices, cinnamon sticks, mistletoe, white tea, rose petals, cranberry pieces, and stevia extract. So I won't have to sweeten this one, which is good. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. We know what's in here now, and it said it was a white tea. This is where I've been doing things wrong. I told you before I would boil the tea, or I would boil the water and then throw a tea bag in there and just, scrunch it to all gets. Just kill it, right? You're not supposed to do that. I got a new tea kettle, and it tells you the temperatures. Let me get this right. It tells you the temperatures that your water is supposed to be when you make your tea. Did you know this? Did you know you're supposed to have different temperatures when you make different blends of tea? I did not know this. Like I said, I would just throw water in the mic, right? Did not know this. So it said this was a white tea. So for white tea, we're going to heat our water to 180 degrees. How do you do that? I got a new teapot. I got a new tea kettle. I tell you, Papa Jim spares, me nothing. I mean, he does anything to my heart's desire. I just love that man. So let me, first of all, before we talk about the tea, let's look at the tea blend. Now they said there's 2 servings in this little tin. I love the little tins that they kind of come in. I have to make sure I can open it without spilling it everywhere. And there's 2 servings. So we're going to take half of this serving. And you know what I'm going to do with these tea tins? I'm going to put little magnets on them. I'm going to hang them on my fridge. And then I can keep spices in them that I use on the regular, right? Oh, you know what kind of kettle I got, huh, Angie? I haven't even shown you yet. All right, so let's take a look at our tea. I want to see if we can look at it. I can see the whole pieces of, oh my gosh, this is pretty. This is a pretty tea. Let's see if I can get half of it out in here. I see whole cloves in this tea, I'm telling you. Okay, there's about half. I'm going to save this so I can have another cup of this later. And I'm going to see if I can hold this up. Can you guys see? Whoops, it all twisted. I really wanted to come up with a unique way to show you guys what the tea blends look like, but I can't do a top down to show you. So I thought I would just put it in here and then just poured it all over my keyboard. Scoop it up. Pardon me while I clean up my mess. Brand new laptop, and I'm mucking it up already. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that's our tea blend. Let me smell it. Oh my gosh, I wish you guys could smell this. Hi, Annie. Annette. Papa Jim is the best ever. Isn't he wonderful? I tell you, that man he denies me nothing. This smells really pretty. It's a really pretty smelling tea. Okay, now on to the coffee. I won't be doing this every day. I won't be going through the whole rigmarole. But look at this tea kettle that Papa Jim got me. It comes off of a base. And you just set it on the base, and it has a bunch of little buttons here where you can push in the temperature you want for your perfect tea. And it does all the work, right? So since we want white tea, we want our temperature to be 180 degrees. It says 180 right here, and it says white. I'm just going to push that and push start, and it's going to bring my water up to the perfect temperature. Just let that do that thing right there. Okay, and then our little sheet also tells us for a white tea, how long our tea needs to steep for, which I didn't know that you had to steep for a certain amount of time either. Now Jim has to give me a tiny vacuum. Done. The kettle is amazing. Now, if you guys don't have this kettle, because let me show you something too that's really cool. Even though it's trying to brew right now, if I open it, if I just push this little lid pops up. It's all just kind of like super, super easy. And it's going to make my water right now to 180 degrees. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Anyways, yes. Oh, when we're done with the live, I will go back into the comment section or the description. I'll probably put it in the description for the video. I'll put a link. And, there's no shame in my game. It'll be an affiliate link for Amazon if I can find one. So, Mama can get 20 cents off the deal. But if you want to purchase one, I've used it several times. I've not gotten into my advent calendar, but like I said, I have lots of other little teas here. I love this kettle. So, so good. So it's warming up right now. We're going to warm to 180. And, I showed you my little bunny. And if I would have taken this amount of tea that I just put in this little thing here, and I would have put it in my little bunny rabbit, it would be so compact in here, the water wouldn't be able to go around the tea leaves. But wait until you see what else I got. Do you hear the kettle warming up the water? I didn't want a glass one, Angie, just because, I'm a mess. I drop things. But, and I like that it matches my refrigerator. It matches my refrigerator. It's stainless steel. And I like that you can take the kettle off of the base. And, like if I wanted to have tea in another room, I could just take this up, carry it over. But instead of my little bunny rabbit who has, a GI problem because you can't get the tea leaves out of his tummy, I got this the other day. Look at this. Look at this infuser. It is so cool. You put your tea leaves in here, you pour your hot water, it does its little dance. And then I set this on top of my teacup and it drains the tea. So I'll show you that in just a minute. Once we get the water where we need to get it, we're going to go ahead and add our tea leaves for this beautiful mistletoe blend, Merry Mistletoe. And this is from David's Tea Company. Now, they are not sponsoring me at all. I get nothing for this. It's just my heart's desire that I wanted to do this. I like glass, but I had one that broke. Yeah. You hear it? Water's ready. Okay, I'm going to bring this down. Let's do this. You guys ready? So here's my little infuser that I picked up. Let me turn this around so I can open it. Wait until you see and you can see I've got some remnants here from the last batch of tea. I rinsed it, but I didn't really do too much with it. Okay, here goes my Merry Mistletoe blend. Get in there, all you little guys. Okay, let's see if I can do this without burning myself. Woo! Okay, here we go. And I'm going to fill it up to about right here for the cup that I have. Oh, look at them dance. Dance, little tea leaves, dance. So, see, I almost burnt myself. 180 degrees. You know, the lady that got burnt at McDonald's, it was 190 degrees. Goodness. Or no, it was more than that. I think it was 218 degrees. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to close this, and now my dog's going to go nuts. And look at how the tea leaves dance as it's infusing. Isn't that pretty? We're going to let this infuse. I'm going to bring the camera back up. There we go. I'm just going to set this aside, and I'm going to let this infuse for, according to our deal, 3 to 4 minutes, okay? So I'm just going to set this lovely tea aside. Why does my dog need to do that? It does look delicious, and it smells so good with the chunks of apple and the cloves and all that. So we're just going to let this little white tea just kind of sit and hang out there. And I might drink it with my little bunny. All right. She's begging to go outside. 1 second. You're not even off the couch. Oh, she's such an attention. Ho, ho, ho. Okay. So what I wanted to do while we're waiting for the tea to steep, it is 10:37. If anybody has a timer, let me know because I did not bring my phone over. We want 3 to 4 minutes. But I thought what I would do while we're in this downtime is I had asked all of you on Facebook and on YouTube the other day to share with me some of your random acts of kindness. If you have been the recipient of a random act of kindness, or if you have blessed someone's life with a random act of kindness, I kind of just ask people to just kind of share some of their stories with me. Dog, stop. There's a random act of kindness. We rescued that dog, and now she won't let me have my life. Oh, Dexter says hi. Hi, Dexter. Okay, so I wanted to do, in addition to our tea advent calendar, I wanted to do a kindness and advent calendar. Say that 3 times fast, 5 times fast. So I thought what I would do is I would go through some of my stories and share them with you, and then challenge you to add some random act of kindness based on the story. So here is my story for today. I'm going to read it directly off of my blog. And it's story time while we have our tea steeping. So if you'll just bear with me, promise you this one is a beautiful story. This beautiful story is called Rich Enough to Know the Difference. And this is my story. I wrote it based on real events. This really did happen. And in all honesty, this is the very first story that I wrote for my blog based on sharing it one day with my boss. And my boss said, you really need to write these things down and put them in a blog because that's a beautiful story. And I thought, well, let me see what I can come up with. So while I'm reading the story, remember to hit the thumbs up. I appreciate it. And let's do this. It's called Rich Enough to Know the Difference. And at the end, I'm going to show you a picture because the picture relates to the story. So here we go. And actually, this was written almost to the day. It was written November 30th. 2010. So this was written 12 years and 1 day ago. It's funny that it was written just at this time. Okay. Families choose different ways to spend their holidays. Our family has done everything from one extreme to the other, from the traditional family get-together to the desert camping trip. This year, 2010, Jim and I needed to find a new way to celebrate the holidays. Something that would appeal to the two of us, as well as something that fit into our limited budget and resources. We was poor. Some investigating on the internet provided me with a great alternative to staying home spending all day cooking for two. I had gathered some information on a historic bed and breakfast inn located in Julian, California, and invited some friends to accompany us on a Thanksgiving getaway. Julian, an old mining town, is located a short drive from our home in the next county. This was when we lived in California. Julian is an apple country. How appropriate, we have apple in our tea today. And has several old gold mines from the latter part of the gold rush. The population is small, comprising of families that have been in the same town, many in the same homes for generations. The mining industry no longer exists unless you consider the economic boost provided from tours of the old mines, which we did. It was a lot of fun. Julian is a woman-driven economy, primarily focused around the pie companies, diners, and crafting stores, while the men are typically farmhands or they find employment miles away off the mountain. This is up in the mountains. But much like other tourist towns, you don't always see the real picture of a town's demographics. One really only sees the little stores tucked in corners and renovated century-old homes. But during the holidays, when the spirits of mankind are most evident, you can see the real heart of a town such as Julian. Checking my time. I don't want this to steep too long. You guys let me know when I need to pour. While taking in the history of the town on a self-guided tour, we were approached by more than one resident inviting us to a Thanksgiving meal at the town hall. A free meal, they explained, for those who were away from home on the holidays, or for those passing through, or for those who had no family to be with, or for those that just had no home at all. While we had some money set aside for a holiday dinner, something made me want to go to this meal. Generally, I would pass, but the energy of the community made me want to feel more connected. And what better way than to join in on a community feast? Pour. Okay, let me pour. We'll stop our story. Let's pour real quick. What do you guys think of the story so far? I promise it's going somewhere. Let's bring the camera down. Let's pour our beautiful tea. Can you see that right there? Okay, here we go. I'm going to take this little infuser and I just set it. My cup is bigger than what it needs to be, so I kind of have to offset it a little bit. Here we go. Look at it pour there. Oh my God, look at that beautiful color. Oh, look how easy that is. What a beautiful little infuser and strainer. And then when I'm done, I just set it on a little base that it came with. I'll put the link to this, if I can find it on Amazon as well, or one that's similar. Look at that beautiful tea. And it is steaming hot. I think it's going to be too hot for me to take a sip right away. Thank you for letting me know it was time to pour, Rochelle. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get back to our story while I let this cool just a little bit. First of all, oh my gosh, that smells heavenly. That smells so good, you guys. I can smell the cloves and the cinnamon and the hints of apple. Oh, I can't wait to taste the cranberry and the apple together. Oh my gosh, you want to smell it, Nicole? Ah, I wish we had smell-o-vision on here. Okay, let's get back to the story. And when we finish the story, it's not too terribly long. We'll sip the tea and see how the tea is. Okay. So we left off with me saying I really want to go to this community feast. As we entered the town hall, it was evident that there were people from all walks of life. Locals, travelers, volunteers, and the homeless. After we signed the guest register, we were directed to a table that would seat our party of 4. We were prepared to get into the soup line to get our free meal. I mean, isn't that what you think of when you think of like a community Thanksgiving dinner? It's like everybody gets in a line and you go down the tables and you get everything put on your plate and then you go sit down. That's what I was expecting. But we were asked to remain seated because we were to be served on that day. All 4 of us were capable in body and mind to get our own food, and we were more than happy to stand in a line to get our own. Yet these people wanted to serve us, all of us, with the happy heart of a volunteer. Our servers were Cliff and Rachel. Cliff and Rachel served us with smiles on their faces. There may have been over 100 people at a time to be served, And through the ebb and flow of hungry faces, the volunteers never lost focus of their desire to serve all who walked through their doors. We met some people, ate some food, shared some laughs and conversation, but more importantly, we watched and we listened. As we learned some valuable lessons that day, we ate our food and we thought, this is too salty. This is not warm enough. This is too dry. What? No Diet Coke? Ungrateful, right? As we did this, I watched a disheveled man across from me at the next table enjoy every bite of not only his meal, but whatever his neighbors were willing to share. Every time one of the volunteers served him, he smiled with sincere thanks and gratitude. He didn't have a thing to complain about, and he had a smile on his face as he ate that free lunch inside and away from the chilly weather. Now, keep in mind, this is Thanksgiving in the mountains in California. It was cold. We had snow that day. It was chilly. I remember how cold it was and windy. And when that wind hits, it's so much colder. Surrounded by laughter and activity, he was happy for that moment, knowing that once it was done, he was to go back to the cold and what appeared to be his homeless situation. Looking at him, his face, his eyes, I wondered what his story was. Were his current circumstances that of fate or of personal choice? Did he have a family that wondered about him, or was he all alone in this world? Fact is, many of us are only a paycheck or two away from living in the streets. I've been there. We know this. We all have family and friends to assist, but what happens when turning to them isn't an option anymore? At what point do you cross that line? As I watched this man and the others around him, we were joined at our table by 3 other couples. The men bantered on about Thanksgiving football games, while the ladies removed their coats and sat at our table and began some small chit-chat. My focus diverted to them as I began to pick up on their conversations. I know I'm an eavesdropper. The lady directly across from me had a large gold medallion necklace and matching earrings. She reported to her friends that she had purchased them in Rome the past summer. The other ladies chimed in about their travels abroad. A quick glance at all of them revealed that not one of the 6 were in need of a free meal. But then again, neither was I, so who was I to pass judgment, right? Their conversations continued, travel this, jewelry that. Jim and I continued our conversation with our friends, and then it happened. The women in the group started complaining. Where was their waitress? They had been sitting way too long. Where was their food? They think their girl forgot about them. I was speechless, and so were my friends. We lowered our heads in shame and just looked over our plates and at each other, and we continued to eat our food. It was an awkward situation, without doubt. A moment or two had passed, and the women continued to complain. When you can't keep me quiet, I decided to chime in, and I assured them that Cliff or Rachel would be by soon, and they would be happy to serve them. It was just very busy is all. There were smiles all around, although I'm not sure they were genuine. When Cliff passed by, one of the ladies at our table got his attention and reported that not only had they been waiting a long time without food, but other people were getting their food before them, and they had been here longer. Cliff offered a sincere apology as well as an offer to get them some dinner. His offering was met with disgusted sighs and murmurs about who did they have to talk to in order to get waited on around here. As they continued to complain, I returned my attention to the man I had been watching. He was putting on his layers of clothing to return to the chilly outdoors. As he smiled and thanked the volunteers, I realized that I'm going to tear up. He was far richer than the people at our table. He understood what it meant to be served. and he was grateful. The people at our table were expecting to be waited on, emotionally bankrupt to what was really going on in that dining hall that day. There is a difference between being served by someone as opposed to being waited on by someone. One who serves enriches their lives as well as those that they serve. One who waits on you does so out of self-motivation, generally for a paycheck or tips, not genuinely concerned about the end result of the individual at their table. Those expecting to be waited on generally don't concern themselves with who that person is, providing them with what they desire. This definitely provided me with an opportunity for an attitude check, a life lesson. I always want to make sure that I take the time to notice who is serving me and how can I be of service to them. Perhaps a smile, perhaps not only noticing their name, but saying it. Thank you, Cliff. Thank you, Rachel. Perhaps sharing a laugh or a funny story. I don't want to be waited on. I don't want to expect to be waited on. I want to be served, and I want to serve. I want to be as rich as that homeless man was this past Thanksgiving. He knew the difference between being served and being waited on. I always want to be rich enough to know the difference too. And so that's the end of that story. So let me show you a picture. I snapped a picture of this man as he sat across from me at the table. I hope you can see it. Look at him. I know there's a glare, but can you see that man enjoying his dinner? Out of all those people, he was the one I focused on, and he was just happy to sit and visit and enjoy that meal. I'm sorry, I got weepy. I've been an emotional wreck lately. So being that we're doing an Advent of kindness, this is my challenge to you today. I'm sorry. My challenge for you today, December 1st, and you don't have to do it today, but tuck it in your pocket and sometime over the next month. Take a moment to notice somebody who is being of service to you and say their name. If you go through a drive-through, if you stop for a cup of coffee, if you're at the checkout line at the store, wherever you go, find someone and brighten their day by acknowledging them and thanking them. Thank you, Susie, for doing such a wonderful job today. I really appreciate it. Or thank you, Tommy, for doing that for me. I really appreciate it. Say their name, acknowledge them, especially in this day and age where for some reason, I don't know what it is about our culture right now, but those who are actually showing up for work while so many others don't, they're being berated, they're being abused. I can understand why some of them don't even want to come back to work. Make a difference in their life. Just take a moment. It doesn't cost you anything, but thank them and say their name. Will you do that for me, please? That is my challenge for you today for a kindness Advent calendar for December 1. Okay. We must serve our brothers and sisters as our Lord Jesus Christ served us. Absolutely. With a grateful heart. Okay. Let's try our tea now that I've wept all in it. It's going to be salty tears now. Leave an extra tip, especially during this time. Yeah. Okay. So we have cloves, cinnamon, apples, cranberries. What did I say? Hibiscus buds, all kinds of stuff. And it does have a sweetener in it, so I don't have to add anything. I brought my monk fruit in case I needed it. But, cheers, ladies and friends. Thank you for joining me this morning. Let's see what we get here. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I'm sure it's not, but I'm going to admit it that I'm going to say I think this might be the first time I've had a white tea. I'm really surprised. Your mind plays tricks on you. I'm really surprised at the beautiful color. I mean, I know there's a glare from my window and you can't see it from the way I see it because I can see the sun coming through it. Oh my gosh, it's a beautiful, beautiful rose cinnamon color. I went out to dinner earlier this week and the server forgot about me. So I waited like an extra 10 minutes at my table. I didn't even really notice. I knew it was busy and I had to book. Oh, it is. It's so hard. Yeah, it's good. This is really nice. This is, one thing I've noticed, and you guys let me know. She insisted on comping my meal, although I told her 5 times she didn't need to. Well, she did anyway, so you left her a $20 tip. That was lovely. That was lovely. When I drink my coffee, tell me if you guys notice this. I shared this with my friend neighbor Karen the other day because she invited me over for coffee. And when I drink, or she invited me over for tea. I'm sorry. When I drink coffee, I feel the heat of the coffee, the temperature of the coffee in my mouth, and then I swallow my coffee. And usually that's where all the focus is, right? Same with like hot chocolate or anything like that. But I've noticed since I started drinking tea that not only do I have the warmth of the tea in my mouth, when I swallow it after I get all of those lovely flavors, I feel the heat go all the way down my esophagus and into my chest. It's like a healing heat. I can see now why so many people enjoy the physical healing properties of drinking tea and why it is such a lovely thing to do every day. So let's take another sip. You know what? Tell me this, guys, if you know this. I've been watching some channels with tea, and they almost like suck their tea so it bubbles over their tongue, kind of like when you do a wine tasting. Are you supposed to do that? Let me know. You're curious about the mistletoe. I don't know. Guys, I'm under the mistletoe. Who's going to give me a kiss for the holidays? One would think that with mistletoe in a tea, and I don't know, that'll be something to look into what the properties of mistletoe are for possibly healing benefits or what it does. I honestly don't know. Like I said, I did not peek at these ahead of time to find out any information to share with you. So if you guys know, or if somebody wants to look it up real quick, what is it about mistletoe that would be good having it in a tea? You would think there would be a pungent or a, kind of a, mistletoe is kind of sticky and it's very, it's not, I would think it would be more of a savory thing, not a sweet. And so you would think that there would be almost like I'm just going to say it because I don't know what else to say, almost like a pine resin, thing in the tea, and there's not. So I wouldn't know that there was mistletoe. My nose is not trained enough and my palate is not trained enough to know that I'm picking up on mistletoe. I haven't consumed mistletoe. I've only been kissed under the mistletoe. But see, I could feel that heat go all the way down. It's a gimmick, huh? Might be a gimmick. I can feel that heat all the way. This is calmed down to just the perfect temperature for sipping. This is what I'm seeing in the videos. Watch. This is what people are doing. They go. It's like, I don't know if oh God, that did kind of change it. That did kind of change it. That's one thing I've learned about when you have your water at certain temperatures, it aerates the water, right? It expands the oxygen in the water, and that's why your tea leaves dance, and that helps release the flavors and everything. Okay, here we go. Rochelle, thank you. According to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, some of the many ailments that may help include seizures, headaches, arthritis, symptoms, potentially even cancer. So I was supposed to say arthritis symptoms and potentially even cancer. Well, heck, I will raise my glass to all of those. I don't have seizures, but I do get headaches from time to time. I'm starting to get some arthritis in my hands. And many of you know that I'm a cancer survivor. So let's keep those little cells at bay and drink our mistletoe. And when Papa Jim comes home, if I make another batch, I might even get a kiss. But I really owe him the kiss because he was kind enough to get me this advent calendar. Cheers to that. I am just going to sip it, though. I'm not going to try to do that whole aeration thing over my tongue because I almost choked that last time. I almost did that. The name mistletoe. Oh, Rochelle, you're so wonderful being our historian today. Thank you. The name mistletoe is believed to have been derived from, do you guys say Celtic or Celtic? I say Celtic, but then you have the Boston Celtics. I don't know. word for all heal. Oh, I didn't know that's what mistletoe meant. Wonderful. Records tell us there were many historical uses for mistletoe or of mistletoe, most of which focused on healing the nervous system. Angie says it makes me think of juniper, which I love in coffee, which see, juniper is what makes me think of that pine, which for some reason I just can't wrap my brain around. Because I think of pine sap and just that really strong scent. But yeah, mistletoe reminds me, it's actually, you know what it's doing? The heat, it's making my nose run a little bit. The poisonous ingredient found in mistletoe is called, hello, toxin. Symptoms are most likely to occur after ingesting the leaves and usually last 1 to 3 days. So only use the leaves. So symptoms or healing properties. I don't know. Don't eat the berries. When my kids were little, we had mistletoe growing on one of our trees, and they would pinch little pieces of mistletoe and we put them in baggies with ribbons so they could go around and sell them to the neighbors. I thought mistletoe was poisonous. Yeah. Rachel was so kind, or Rochelle, I'm sorry. See, I can't read. Rochelle was kind enough to be our historian today for our tea. I think that's wonderful. I appreciate that so much. Rochelle, thank you for serving everybody in this group in that fashion. You see how wonderful that is? I love you for that. Rochelle and I have, I think, developed a beautiful friendship, and she has my sense of humor. So she and I get along quite well. She is my neighbor to the north. She's up in Canada, and I hope someday I will get to travel. I want to go to Niagara Falls. Maybe I'll get a chance to someday meet up with her, and that would be lovely. But I'm enjoying this tea, and I don't know if you guys have noticed. Well, you can't because my girth is hiding it. But let me just like tilt and twist. You guys see all that stuff back there? I'm going to be doing a video later today. I don't know when I'm going to get it edited, but I noticed that hitting the airwaves right now, like on Facebook and other places, everybody's talking about cheeseburger soup. Cheeseburger soup is delicious. And Angie and I are both non-meat eaters. And so I hope she doesn't cringe when she hears me say cheeseburger soup. But, you know, when we first started into this really weird event that we've been going through a couple of years now, and actually for me, it started before that because moving here on the farm, I had to be prepared for being snowed in and such. So I started really building up my pantry. And one of the things I built in my pantry was some meat substitutes that have been freeze dried so I can make meals in a jar. And then I can pull out those meals in a jar if we ever have a time where maybe our power is down and I just need to boil some water over a propane stove, or if I'm not feeling well and I can just, you know, add some boiling water, which now I can use my tea kettle for, and just do a really quick meal. So I searched the internet and I did not find anything for a meal in a jar for cheeseburger soup. So later on today, when I'm done with this live with you ladies, I'm going to make up a batch of cheeseburger soup. I've already made one and we ate it. It was not a fail. Papa Jim loved it. And he even said before I started cleaning up the kitchen that night, he says, if you will put some in a carry-away for me, because I'd like to take what's left to lunch tomorrow and have it for lunch. That's a win, right? Especially for a dehydrated meal that's been reconstituted and cooked. For him to request it for work the next day, yeah, I think it's a good one. So we enjoyed it. So I've kind of put it through the test run kitchen here. And I'm going to be coming back when we're done with this live, and we're going to put together some jars for cheeseburger soup in a jar, dried, that you reconstitute later and cook up for your family when you're in a pinch. So you guys keep an eye out on the channel for that. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'd love to have you. I'm doing little things here and there, reading Anne of Green Gables, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. Soon I'm going to start reading a book that shares the love letters between a soldier from Iowa to his wife during the Civil War. I've received permission from the author to read his family letters that he has published. And so I'm really looking forward to that because some of you may or may not know that when Papa Jim and I took our trip, I wasn't planning on it, but it just worked out so wonderfully this way. We visited so many historical places that were Civil War battlefields, and we learned so many wonderful stories. And I'm telling you, some of those historians are so wonderful at telling the stories. They brought humanity into the stories. I mean, when we're in school, we learn about wars, we learn about dates and places and people. You know, you learn it, you try to memorize it because you know there's going to be a test and you have to know everything, but you don't really internalize or digest everything. And I'm at the age now where I can internalize it, I can feel it. Thank you, Nicole. I'm glad to have you. You've made cheeseburger soup. Yes, and with impossible meat. This is freeze dried though, so I don't have to worry about keeping it in my freezer. I love it. I'm hoping I do have. It does have milk powder though, Angie. So we'll have to see if we can find you a substitute for that. There was one place we visited, and I'm going to be doing some videos because I interviewed people. I got as much as I could. It's just taking me so long to edit all of the videos because when we came home, I had 1,200 pieces of recordings or stills that I took, and I'm trying to put it all together to do videos. But there was one historian that took us into the basement of one of the homes that was caught in the crossfire between the North and the South. The North, like they camped at this house, and then the South was coming up across the field, and they had a battle with this house in the middle. And the historian told the story of the family that was in the basement. The family didn't even have a place to go. They were in the basement as they're fighting back and forth. And I won't tell you the whole story because I want to save that for my video. But I'm telling you, I don't know, there must have been 10 or 15 of us down there. I'm standing there and I've got tears streaming down my face, and I am openly sobbing as this man is telling the story of this family. It is such a story. It doesn't matter what your stance is, north, south, that's not important. These are human beings. And this is what's missing when we're teaching our children history is the personal attachment to a story. And I told him, I said, this is what's missing when we tell children these stories that they have to learn in school. This is what's missing. And I'm so grateful that I took a day out of our trip to visit this home and learn about this family. It is mind-blowing. And the more I learned about this family, the more I learned about their connection all throughout Tennessee and Georgia, and even up here into Wisconsin, I think. So it's really interesting. Having said that, Papa Jim and I have taken a trip to a Civil War meeting hall that was built in 1879, right here where we live. And it was kind of like the VFW of the day. It opened in 1880, and Civil War veterans could congregate, meet, get services, and just, share stories with each other and commiserate. And there was a meeting there 2 weeks ago of a Civil War reenactment group. And, when we were down in our travels, I really tried to find a reenactment group that would be active during our travels because I knew Jim would be really interested in seeing that. I even bought him a book, and it's The Civil War for Dummies. So you could, just kind of get the cliff notes of different parts of the Civil War because I knew we were going into this historical area. And lost my train of thought. Oh, anyways, I really wanted him to see a reenactment where they shoot the cannons and everything. Well, there's this reenactment group that's going to start having meetings in this memorial hall. And so I took Jim to a meeting, and they're like, oh yeah, we want you to come join us and learn about it. And through all of this, I've discovered that my great-great-grandfather was a soldier in the Civil War. And I might find out something about him in addition to some of these letters that I'll be reading from another family. So I'm really excited to learn more about it, share some of it with you. Will I be getting a colonial dress and possibly become a field nurse out in a reenactment? And I don't know, help serve? You are awesome with all the canning and homestead stuff you do. I want to be you. Friend, I want to be you. I love you. You know what? It came out of necessity. I mean, I canned jellies and jams when the boys were little, but it all came out of necessity. And behind me, back there, I mean, you see that rack right there? That's one of 5 racks that are just full. And I can what I can. I get what I can't can. And, I'm not bragging by any means. I'm prepared. And my son says there's a difference between paranoid and prepared. And so I'm not paranoid, but I am prepared. And I started doing that when we first moved on to this farm because it had nothing to do with our current culture because we moved here in 2014. But when we first moved here, my sister lived in the farm around the corner. And she said the day they moved in, they had an ice storm and they had no power and couldn't get out for, several days. I think it was 5 days that they were just stuck. I mean, they just moved into the house. They didn't even have, they didn't have food stores or, anything. They didn't have anything in the cabinets. But she had enough to get them by. And it was them and the moving truck, the guys who drove the moving truck, when they tried getting into the driveway, the truck actually went into the ditch because the ice. And so they were all stuck at this farmhouse for days. And she said it was really tough. So I started thinking about it when we moved here on the farm. I was like, I need to be prepared for days like that or weeks like that. We've been snowed in here for 8 days at a time. Nobody comes down this road for 8 days, not even the plows. And I have to be prepared. I have to have everything in order so that we can stay comfortable and warm and fed the whole 8 days while we're here. And so that's kind of what started that for me. And then I just kind of went crazy. History grounds us, teaches us to repeat or not repeat. It's very important. Absolutely. Nice rack. Thank you, Rochelle. I want to see me dressed as a nurse too. And I told this group, now this is up to Papa Jim, whether we do this or not. I think it would be really neat to be part of this reenactment group. And I've already been asked to crochet them some hats for wintertime. And there's going to be a reenactment in Winterset, Iowa, which is the birthplace of John Wayne and where the bridges of Madison County are. There's going to be a big reenactment next year. So I've got time to plot and plan and scheme. But when we were visiting with the people for this reenactment group, I thought, I want to be a field nurse. I think it would be, I don't know what it is. I mean, my mother was a nurse. I could see myself out there in these tents where they have them set up, where they have some of the authentic tools and they talk about it and what the soldiers really went through. And, oh, look, hang on. Can I get it? Okay, let me sit my fat booty back down. I posted a link on my community tab of a channel that just released a vegan soup cookbook. Ooh, yum. Thank you, Rochelle. Papa Jim picked up this old bottle the other day when we were visiting Ormsby Farm. Just this really old bottle. I'm not going to clean it up or anything, but I want to get a sticker. I mean, it has milliliters on the side. I do believe this is an old medicine bottle. I'll have to look into it and see. But I want to get a label on here that's laudanum. That was the kind of like the morphine of the day that they would pour a few drops of laudanum onto a cloth and put it over a soldier's nose, and it would, render them unconscious so that they could proceed with the unfortunate task that they had to do. We did go to one Civil War plantation that was overtaken to be used as a field hospital. So while this battle is going on, they would bring the wounded to this house. I mean, 1 minute the kids are with their governess or their nanny and they're having a picnic and doing their schoolwork. And the next minute their house is completely overrun by soldiers and it's turned into a hospital. And they crowded hundreds of men into the home and all over the yard. And a little boy's bedroom was turned into a surgical room, one of many. And they would just amputate and out the window it would go. And they were just stacked up to the level of a second-story window. I mean, can you imagine? But I've been reading stories about how important it was for the soldiers to have that comfort of a nurse, somebody that they could, remind them of their mother. That was this is the other thing. I went to the one house and I cried, and then I left and I went to the next house, the house that was turned into the field hospital. And as the historian's telling the story, I'm like bawling as I choke on my tea, because she said all of these stories that were written down afterwards, after the Civil War, the one repeating factor that the surviving soldiers on either side would share was memories of their mother, thoughts of their mother. That's what got them through. And she was telling the story of this one soldier who I believe had a leg amputated. And he said, all I could think of was my mother hanging the laundry on the line. And that's what got him through. And I thought, and I'm just sitting there crying, what a somber thing, that with everything that's going on and some of them facing death, all they want is their mother. Just amazing. I mean, I'm not a Civil War history buff at all, but taking this trip and going to some of these places has just lit a fire in me to learn more. They were young. I was reading a book the other day, and it's actually the book based on this plantation, some letters from this plantation, the place that was taken over for the hospital, and the governess, the nanny, the child caregiver that lived on the property, who was a real person. And she tended to many of the soldiers, and she became the assistant to the surgeon. And I think there's one boy that she spoke to and promised that she would get things to his mother. I think he was only 12 or 13. Very young, very young. So I need to do a little research and find out my great-great-grandfather. How old was he when he enlisted into the Civil War? And obviously he survived. I mean, here I am. But it would be very interesting to find out. Now, the other thing, two things I found out at this meeting. I mean, I'll just talk forever. When we went to this reenactment group, many of those who are in a reenactment group, they either have Civil War ties, or they're just history buffs, or it's just something that just sparked an interest in them when they were younger. And there was a young man, and I did put a video on my channel of this young man playing a bugle, and it's a bugle. It was made in 1860, and it was used in the Civil War. It's an authentic Civil War bugle, and he plays taps in this building that we had this meeting at. And his grandfather was actually lost, not a prisoner of war, not confirmed to have been killed in action, but he was lost and never heard from again. So obviously he was just probably buried in an unknown grave somewhere at one of the battle sites that I went to. So here's this young man I've never even met in my life, and now we've got this connection. It's like my grandfather died there. It's like I walked on that field where your grandfather or your great-great-grandfather probably passed away. I was there, and it just kind of brings it all to life. It's just crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. So I'm learning more about it. But what I wanted to say, the other thing is one of the men who's going to be one of the surgeons, he has taken on the name of an actual doctor that was in the Civil War. And I thought, I should come up with a Civil War name, And I thought about maybe taking the name of this nanny that was the nurse at this one plantation. But then I thought, what would be really great? Since my great-great-grandfather was in the Civil War and left his wife behind, and I don't know that they had any children at the time, I should assume my great-great-grandmother's name, and that's who I should be as a reenactment participant. But again, it's up to Papa Jim whether he even wants to do this. I don't even know if he's going to want to do this. Alicia Nightingale. Right? Better than Nurse Cratchit, that's for sure. So my name would be Kezia French. That was my great-great-grandmother's name, Kezia and David French, and they were the parents of Molly, who I was supposed to be named after. If you've been following me for any time, you know, I did a video one time about if I could choose any name for myself, what it would be. And it would be Molly, because my mother really wanted to name me after my great-grandmother. And my dad said no. And so here I am, Alicia. So, but if I could change it, I would change it to Molly, because I just think that's a fun name. I think I would really be a fun Molly. Don't you think I'd be a fun Molly? So why not assume the name? There's this tiny little fly that wants in my tea. No swimming allowed. Go somewhere else. I think it'd be really neat to be Kezia French. And so what was really interesting is I didn't even know any of this. I had shared on Facebook that I was going to be reading these letters from the Civil War. And a cousin that I've never even met, who was my mother's flower girl when my mother got married. So there was a difference in ages of the cousins. So I've never met her. She wrote to me and she said, did you know that our great-great-grandfather was in the Civil War? It's like, no, I had no idea. And so she started sending me some pictures and information out of a family history book. And so I've learned a little bit about the family, and I'm going to see if I can find out more from the War Department. I hear Molly is fun. Not that Molly, but Mollies are fun. Yes. So, and I always thought it was Molly. But from the paperwork that's been sent to me, it's Mollie. But I thought Molly's never lied. So I thought it was with a Y. But I'll go with the Molly. Either way I can spell it. But I never did get that name. But I thought it would be such a fun name. But my father said no, because even though they called her Molly, her name was Mary Frances. And my dad said, you know, it just sounds a little bit too confined religiously for his tastes. Didn't want me to be a Mary Frances. So, I mean, I wasn't going to be taking any Holy Communions in my future. So he didn't want that. So, no Molly for me, just plain old Alicia Sue. I told my mother, if you're going to give me the middle name Sue, why didn't you at least dress it up and spell it like Sioux City, like Sioux, so I could be Sioux City Sue. But anyways, all right, guys, I'm going to continue my tea. How long have we been on here? Oh, gosh, we've been on here an hour. So I've got my relaxing music from my dogs playing in the background. I think I'm going to go kick my feet up a little bit. I can feel this tea loosening up a little bit of what I've got going on in my chest, because I've got this inner ear kind of thing going on right now. I'm going to go continue sipping my tea, and I hope that you will take me up on the kindness, random act of kindness challenge, so that at some point in the next month or so, if you can just acknowledge someone graciously and wholeheartedly and sincerely and thank them, I think that would be a lovely act of kindness, and you can make all the difference in someone's life when you do that. And then join me tomorrow for day 2. We'll open up our 24 days of tea, and we will pull out box number 2. I promise I'm not going to look ahead of time. I have no idea what's in there. And we will steep that one and see what kind of flavors we get tomorrow and see how that tea is. And again, once this video is done and YouTube lets me go in and do the description and change it up, I will put in a link to David's tea for this 24 days of tea. Again, they're not sponsoring me. I get no kickback from promoting them at all, other than sharing with you that I think it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And I think it's a lot of fun. And then I will put a link for the little infuser, if I can find a great link for that, and the tea kettle for my associate store. And again, I mean, I really only get like 10 or 20 cents, but it helps. And it doesn't cost you anymore. If you order it through my link, it doesn't cost you anymore to do that. So, but having said that, I thank you for subscribing if you hadn't already. I thank you for pressing the thumbs up. And I thank you so much for spending an hour of your day with me today. It's kind of nice to be back live. I haven't been live in so many weeks. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Check out my time to make more pickles. My poor pickle parody. I did not plant any cucumbers this year because of that pickle parody and because of the cucumbers that year, but I'm out of dills. Got so many other things, but I'm out of dills. So I'm going to have to plant them again this year. I'm going to have to do it, Rochelle or Danny. Cheers, my friends. Love to you all. I will see you tomorrow, 10:15 Eastern time. No, not Eastern. Back up the truck, Nancy. Come on. 10:15 Central time. We'll come together and we'll do day number 2. And I will read another story I don't even know what story I'm going to read until it's time. I did not have that story picked out until this morning. And so I will find another story off of my blog. And I'm hoping I have enough to go through all 24 days with you. So we'll have a story to share. And I'm hoping that each story will relate somehow to an act of kindness that we can have a challenge. You go back and you watch it when you need a smile. Seriously. Thank you. I'm glad it brings you some joy. I have a good friend, my other BFF down in Tennessee. And she sees the part, Danny, you know, the part where it's like, I finally had enough and I come walking out of my bedroom in my nightgown. I'm like, just my God, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you put that on a video? It's like, because it's a parody. I mean, and that's why I said some days when you guys show up here, I might be in my nightgown and my hair might be looking like this. Who knows? Oh, you have to work tomorrow. You'll have to catch us on the replay. I'm sorry, Rochelle. So, all right, my friends, I promise I'm going to say goodbye this time, and I will see you all tomorrow. Much, much love. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. End broadcast.